In our interface with the animal world, there will always be the danger of spillover. As long as people eat meat, there is going to be some risk of infection.
We come to you to deliver this critical message. COVID-19 is a preview of far greater pandemics to come. Our governments have been hijacked by an industry that is creating pandemics through animal exploitation, wreaking havoc on our planet and our health. We call on you to demand that our governments tell the truth, that eating animals causes pandemics, and we must stop funding this disastrous industry. Animal agriculture must end now. To learn more, visit eatinganimalscausespandemics.com.
Stopping the next pandemic. That's what some demonstrators in Hollywood said was their aim.
Activists have rallied outside Melbourne's iconic Queen Victoria Market. They warn of an increasing risk of infectious diseases spreading from animals to people due to high-intensity farming and land clearance.
Infectious disease experts across the globe are making it very clear that the leading cause of new and emerging infectious diseases is our exploitation of other animals, yet all we're doing is band-aid solutions. No one is addressing the central cause.
The media and the public are ignoring the source of these deadly epidemics and pandemics we're seeing time and again across the planet. We need to connect the dots between meat production and zoonotic diseases.
The goal, to get people to stop eating animals and switch to a plant-based diet.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Because the viruses causing pandemics, including this one, all jump from food animals to humans.
This isn't our first pandemic, and if we don't transition from our broken animal-based food system, it won't be our last.
We must stop funding this disastrous industry, wreaking havoc on our planet and our health. We call on you to demand that our governments tell us the truth.
If we don't take action now and stop the destruction of nature in the way that we treat animals, then we become the endangered species.
It's an International Pandemic Outreach Day. One world, one day, one action.
Activists across Canada joined together today for orchestrated protests, sounding the alarm on what they're calling a destructive and dangerous animal food system.
We come to you to deliver this critical message.
We have to address the cause of the pandemic. It's a zoonotic disease. It's because of our relationship with animals, the farming of animals, and all of these pandemics have to be dealt with in a serious way, preventing the pandemic rather than trying to create a vaccine to deal with something that's happening.
Wearing biohazard gear and masks, activists gathered in Toronto, starting at Queen's Park and then heading to nearby hospitals. They say COVID-19 shows all is not well with current food production practices.
We come to you to deliver this critical message. COVID-19 is a preview of far greater pandemics to come. Our governments have been hijacked by an industry that is creating pandemics through animal exploitation, wreaking havoc on our planet and our health. We call on you to demand that our governments tell the truth, that eating animals causes pandemics, and we must stop funding this disastrous industry. Animal agriculture must end now. To learn more, visit eatinganimalscausespandemics.com.
Stephanie Barra with Eating Animals Causes Pandemics, and we're here to share awareness about the link between animal agriculture and 75% of the world's last pandemics over the past couple hundred years. They are stressed out, their immune systems are down, providing the perfect breeding ground for viruses and pathogens to mutate, pass along to other species like humans when we come in contact with them.
We come to you to deliver this critical message. COVID-19 is a preview of far greater pandemics to come. Our governments have been hijacked by an industry that is creating pandemics through animal exploitation, wreaking havoc on our planet and our health. We call on you to demand that our governments tell the truth, that eating animals causes pandemics, and we must stop funding this disastrous industry. Animal agriculture must end now. To learn more, visit eatinganimalscausespandemics.com.
Jane Unchained News is live in Times Square, New York City at International Pandemic Day. In Times Square, there's activists in hazmat suits holding posters, sounding the alarm about the connections between animal agriculture, eating animals, and pandemics. Let's turn the camera around.
COVID-19 is a preview of far greater pandemics to come. Our governments have been hijacked by an industry that is creating pandemics through animal exploitation, wreaking havoc on our planet and our health.
So for all those who have just joined this broadcast, we are live in Times Square, New York City at International Pandemic Outreach Day, with activists wearing hazmat suits and making the connection between eating animals and animal agriculture and pandemics. Their posters show all of the different pandemics that we've gone through that were directly the result of eating animals.
We come to you to deliver this critical message. COVID-19 is a preview of far greater pandemics to come. Our governments have been hijacked by an industry that is creating pandemics through animal exploitation, wreaking havoc on our planet and our health. We call on you to demand that our governments tell the truth, that eating animals causes pandemics, and we must stop funding this disastrous industry. Animal agriculture must end now. To learn more, visit eatinganimalscausespandemics.com.
So there's an alarm literally being sounded as symbolically these activists stand here.
Eating animals causes pandemics! Eating animals causes pandemics!
Eating animals causes pandemics!
Eating animals causes pandemics!
Eating animals causes pandemics!
We come to you to deliver this critical message. COVID-19 is a preview of far greater pandemics to come. Our governments have been hijacked by an industry that is creating pandemics through animal exploitation, wreaking havoc on our planet and our health. We call on you to demand that our governments tell the truth, that eating animals causes pandemics, and we must stop funding this disastrous industry. Animal agriculture must end now. To learn more, visit eatinganimalscausespandemics.com.
Eating animals causes pandemics! Eating animals causes pandemics!
Eating animals causes pandemics!
Eating animals causes pandemics!
Eating animals causes pandemics! Jane Unchained News is live in front of the Fox News building with activists from International Pandemic Outreach Day wearing hazmat suits.
Message. COVID-19 is a preview of far greater pandemics to come. Our governments have been hijacked by an industry that is creating pandemics through animal exploitation, wreaking havoc on our planet and our health. We call on you to demand that our governments tell the truth. That eating animals causes pandemics. We must stop funding this disastrous industry.
So mainstream media did not cover this event in New York City, so the activists took it to mainstream media. This is the headquarters of News Corporation, which owns Fox News. So activists are in front, at their front door, sounding the alarm. And as we know, mainstream media has not effectively educated people about the fact that eating animals causes pandemics. So we're here today. I've gone live a few times. Here we are in front of the News Corporation.
We call on you to demand that our governments tell the truth. That eating animals causes pandemics. We must stop funding this disastrous industry. Animal agriculture must end now.
I've been at it for 15 plus years. Many of us have been at it for decades. And we've been saying the same thing. Now, it just so happens that it becomes an issue now when COVID has completely taken over our time, our effort, our energies, and people have been sick and dying and everything.
Cesar Acevedo reporting live for Jane Unchained. We're out here at the Hollywood Walk of Fame, world famous landmark. And members of Animal Alliance Network, LA Animal Save, both parts of the Save movement are out here celebrating Eating Animals Causes Pandemic Day. You know, we're in pandemic, so you can tell all the zoonotic diseases from pig flu, swine flu, mad cow disease. So they're out here bringing education to many with documentaries like Dominion, right outside here of the world famous Dolby Theater. So you're out here today spreading awareness to the public about eating animals causes pandemics.
We need to be out here to show people this is not okay for eating animals. Again, like I said, we're one step away from collapse. One pandemic away from collapse.
We still do have a lot of work to do, but the fact that now vegan food is not just considered some fringe freak thing, it's way more mainstream, way more desirable. And I think people understand the health benefits more, the environmental benefits more, the animal welfare issues surrounding it. So we just have to keep kind of digging in and not ever giving up, of course. I don't think anyone on this broadcast is ever liable to give up on this, but social justice movements making tremendous change, challenging the status quo in society, going up against billion-dollar corporations, that is never easy and quick. So we kind of, I think, have to take the long view that this movement is still sort of in its infancy and we have to fight harder than ever and keep, as I think Ray alluded to, we need to expand our tent. We need to get in other groups of people that were not traditionally on board with us, religious groups, environmental groups, community groups, because this is not an issue that just affects people that care about animals. Or this affects everyone. If you are a living, breathing human being, it affects you. It affects your children, if you have children or not, or if you care about the planet, if you care about your own health, if you care about the future, if you care about other animals, it affects every single thing. So we need to get as many people on our side and have unity.
It's happening now. Speak truth to power. The clock is ticking. Thank you so much, everyone, for being involved in this broadcast.
This coronavirus can attack anyone.
But it hits especially hard if you have an underlying health problem,
such as diabetes,
high blood pressure, heart or lung disease,
asthma, or if you smoke.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 94% of Americans who have died from the coronavirus had underlying health issues.
And that's the reality.
If you smoke, quit.
Pay attention to the foods you're putting into your body.
A low-fat, plant-based diet can bring down blood pressure, can improve, and sometimes even reverse diabetes.
I could not have imagined what my life would have been like if I did not reverse my diabetes before COVID-19. Now that I am eating a whole food plant-based diet filled with beans, grains, fruits, and veggies. I feel healthy and I'm able to have a healthy lifestyle.
People have tried all kinds of diets, but the evidence is in.
A plant-based lifestyle is the way to go.
Stay away from meat, dairy, and eggs.
Avoid greasy foods and junk food.
There are just a few tricks to master, but you can and should try it.
It can save your life.
Doing so saved mine. It could do the same for you.
It's easy.
Swap out the meat chili for a bean chili.
For your pasta, change out the Alfredo for some tomato sauce.
Let's trade in your beef taco for a bean burrito.
You get the idea.
And one more thing.
Please take your vitamin B12. It's good for your nerves. It's good for your blood.
It's readily available at pharmacies and health food stores.
And it's easy to remember.
A healthy diet won't solve coronavirus alone.
But coupled with health practices like good sleep and exercise, it can greatly improve one's chances at recovery.
So, save your life.
Let's power up every breakfast,
lunch,
and dinner. Let's do this.
We got this.
The COVID-19 pandemic, also known as the 2019 novel coronavirus, began as an epidemic in China before rapidly spreading across the globe in a matter of months.
COVID-19 has since spread to nearly every country in the world. The U.S. is now the worst hit, followed closely by several European nations.
This led the World Health Organization to classify it as a pandemic.
Describing the situation as a pandemic does not change WHO's assessment of the threat posed by the virus. It doesn't change what WHO is doing, and it doesn't change what countries should do.
Many pandemics have spread to humans from our close proximity with animals. These are known as zoonotic infections, or diseases that can spread from animals to humans. Experts believe that the coronavirus is zoonotic, originating from wild animal meat sold at the Huanan Seafood Wholesale Market in Wuhan, China. According to the CDC, 75% of emerging infectious diseases in people are spread from animals. There were 3 influenza pandemics in the 20th century, all of which have been linked to animal origins. The Spanish flu of 1918 infected 500 million people, a quarter of the global population at the time, between January 1918 and December 1920.
Perhaps until recently, Spanish flu has been what some people call a forgotten pandemic, but it was a huge global calamity.
The death toll is estimated to be between 50 million and 100 million, making it the deadliest pandemic in recorded history. The exact origin of the virus has not been pinpointed. Epidemiological data indicates that the pandemic may have begun in the U.S. in March 1918, at a crowded army camp in Fort Riley, Kansas.
He had a fever, sore throat, headache, nothing serious. 1 minute later, another soldier showed up. By noon, the hospital had over 100 cases. In a week, 500.
Loring Minor noticed a population that he was servicing was getting sick, and very sick, with an influenza unlike any he had ever seen before. He considered it so serious, he felt the need to alert the U.S. Public Health Service.
Another theory is that it started in a British base camp at Étaples in northern France in the winter of 1917. Experts believe that the live pigs and nearby live geese, duck, and chicken markets may be linked to the virus's spread through the overcrowded camp. A 2014 study from the University of Arizona in Tucson found that the virus likely originated from poultry. Previous studies have revealed that it likely circulated around humans and pigs for at least 2 to 15 years before becoming a lethal virus. The flu pandemic of 1957, aka the Asian flu, first emerged in East Asia in 1957.
One of the upper respiratory infections, something like a cold, only it's caused by flu virus. And the difference between the Asian influenza and the influenza that we've been having all of these past few years is that this strain of the virus began in Hong Kong and spread from Hong Kong to the rest of the world, including the United States.
It's estimated that the virus killed 1.1 million people worldwide. The exact origin is unknown, but some experts believe it may have been transmitted to humans from wild ducks or poultry. The 1968 flu pandemic was first recorded in Hong Kong in July 1968. The virus killed an estimated 1 million people worldwide. This was the first known outbreak of H3N2, a viral strain that can infect humans, poultry, and pigs. Researchers isolated H3N2 in U.S. turkey and swine farms and found that some strains of the virus can be transmitted from turkeys to pigs and then to humans. The virus that caused the Spanish flu pandemic, influenza A virus subtype H1N1, emerged as a different strain in the 21st century, swine flu. The swine flu pandemic lasted between January 2009 to August 2010.
Influenza pandemics, whether moderate or severe, are remarkable events because of the almost universal susceptibility of the world's population to infection.
WHO raised its pandemic alert from phase 4 to phase 5 due to the increasing human-to-human spread,
infecting between 700 million to 1.4 billion people across the globe. The World Health Organization confirmed 18,036 swine flu-related deaths worldwide, but between 151,700 and 575,400 people died from the virus, according to the CDC. Researchers found that the genetic makeup of H1N1 combines an assortment of 5 different types of influenza: North American swine influenza, North American avian influenza, human influenza, and 2 swine influenza viruses from Eurasia. Concentrated animal feeding operations, or CAFOs, are a possible origin of H1N1.
This is the most concerning emergence of a novel flu virus in 40 years.
Thought to have originated in Mexico, experts say that at some point someone came into contact with an infected pig at a farm, during transportation, or at the slaughterhouse.
According to Gregory Gray, an infectious disease epidemiologist at Duke University, when respiratory viruses get into these confinement facilities, they have continual opportunity to replicate, mutate, reassort, and recombine into novel strains. While these viruses can run quickly through human populations and then burn out, in CAFOs, viruses have a greater potential to spread due to the continual introduction of new animals. Viruses can then infect factory farm workers. Though not a pandemic, the severe acute respiratory syndrome, aka SARS virus, has animal origins as well.
The Doctors' Union recommending drastic moves to deal with the epidemic. They say all businesses should be shut down for a fortnight to stop the infection spreading from person to person in the workplace.
The 2002 to 2004 outbreak infected 8,098 people and killed 774. In 2017, scientists from the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China traced SARS to horseshoe bats in the Yunnan province. Civets, a nocturnal animal native to tropical Asia and Africa, acted as an intermediary between the virus, bats, and humans. It was likely passed on to humans through civets sold at meat markets in China. In the wake of the coronavirus, China banned the sale and consumption of wild animal meat.
Wild animal wet markets have long been recognized as a major pandemic threat. As coronavirus spread, China announced it would crack down on them.
There's been a growing concern among people over the consumption of wild animals and the hidden dangers it brings to public health security since the novel coronavirus disease COVID-19 outbreak. Zhang Taiwei, a spokesman for the top legislature's Legislative Affairs Commission, said in a statement, "Wild animal markets aren't the only concern. New viruses come from factory farms as well." According to Gray, new strains of coronavirus have the potential to come from swine CAFOs due to the fact that humans and pigs share similar immune systems. He believes that identifying new viruses in CAFOs should be a priority. Diseases derived from animal agriculture can even affect produce. Leafy greens such as spinach, lettuce, and fresh herbs are some of the vegetables most frequently linked to bacterial infections. According to the Food Safety Project, there were 713 produce-related outbreaks associated with foodborne disease between 1995 and 2005. The main causes of these bacterial outbreaks prior to harvesting are linked to animal agriculture. Soil acts as a reservoir for pathogens due to the addition of animal waste. Following a 2006 E. coli outbreak, the CDC, FDA, and officials from California traced the infection's origins back to contaminated spinach. Investigations linked the contaminated spinach samples to cattle manure and pig feces from a California ranch. Water contaminated by farm animal waste may have also caused the infection. A 2018 outbreak was also linked to animal agriculture. The FDA believes that manure from a cattle feedlot in Yuma, Arizona, one of the largest lettuce-growing regions in the country, was likely washed into a nearby irrigation ditch, and water then carried the contaminated waste to vegetable fields.
Lettuce grown in Yuma is being blamed for an outbreak of E. coli across the United States. The CDC says there have been 35 cases in 11 states linked to it.
Dust from the feedlot may have also caused the outbreak. Lettuce farmers believe that their fields need to be located further away from cattle feedlots, while others have discussed buying the feedlot, which houses 100,000 cows, and shutting it down to prevent further outbreaks. Like coronavirus and SARS, some other diseases spread from humans to animals, such as bovine spongiform encephalopathy, better known as mad cow disease. In the 1980s and again in the 2000s, mad cow disease, known as Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease in humans, made headlines. While not contagious through person-to-person contact, the fatal degenerative brain disease was linked to cattle that were fed sheep remains infected by scrapie. While humans have always been affected by viruses, pandemics began when humans started living in close proximity to animals. This made it easier for diseases to jump from animals to humans. In the 2006 bird flu, a virus of our own hatching, Dr. Michael Greger wrote, "If you actually want to create global pandemics, then build factory farms." In a speech for the UW School of Medicine and Public Health, he said,
There has never been a single recorded emergence of a highly pathogenic flu virus in chickens kept outdoors. Never once has a dangerous, deadly flu virus ever seemed to have arisen, that we know of, in an outdoor chicken flock. Now, you can breed a deadly virus here, it can escape and infect backyard birds, free-ranging flocks, even wild birds. But that transformation from harmless to deadly always seems to happen in these kind of conditions.
As long as humans continue to eat meat, we run the risk of coming into contact with new zoonotic diseases. But a shift away from animal agriculture and wild animal meat toward a new, plant-based food system could help create a safer, healthier, and kinder world.